Welcome to Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field after a disappointing day for Mississippi State. Disappointing in the sense of how it ended up. Bulldogs did not expect to win, no, the fans did, but they certainly came out and played hard for a quarter and a half and went close to halftime before falling behind. Put up a good fight for a good period of the game, made some plays, made some stops in defense. In the end, LSU was just too much, and none of that is surprising, Steve.
Well, Davis, kind of like you said, it is a disappointing day, but it is not a totally unexpected day, and we talked in the pregame. You asked me, David, you said, Steve, what do you want to see? I wanted to see passion. And I really think we got that. That's not the result we wanted. We wanted to see a Mississippi State victory. And for a while there, it looked like there might be something happening. Matter of fact, we had people on the Twitter feed saying, hey, LSU's on upset alert. When it's 9-7 there, the defense is playing as well as they are, really kind of stopping the LSU run. And I really thought Mississippi State DBs for a while were kind of in there making plays themselves. The next thing you know, you have a penalty-aided drive, and then LSU goes in. It's 15, and they miss the extra point, and everybody's like, you know what, we're still within a score. And it looked like State could kind of carve into that and possibly even tie the game. Next thing you know, boom is right, David. And I thought the touchdown pass that Joe Burrow threw right before the half was as good as what we'll see from an NFL quarterback. And listen, they're a great team, and there are no more victories, David, as you guys know. But the bottom line is, Mississippi State drops to 3-4, but I felt like there was some positives today. As listless as the sideline was last week, there was none of that this week.
Setting aside the obvious question of how can you come out so lifeless against a team you should beat and come out this energetic against a team that's overmatched. And I'll say this, I've been here a long time, as many people remind me. I've seen that happen a lot. Bulldog teams get just sky-high in overmatched situations and come out flat against lesser opponents. Setting that aside, let's get back to the passion part. There was certainly passion in the postgame. Monday we had a emotional talk by Joe Moorhead, but it was more low-key, more low-stated. He was machine gunning his words out in postgame today. You could tell some of the anger. Surprisingly, anger was still with him as he came to talk to media.
Yeah, some people were asking us as we were leaving, some people that are not regular members of our beat said, have you ever seen him that emotional, that angry? And the answer to that question is no, I haven't. I think it's been a long week for him, David. I think he's tired of talking about Rutgers. And again, I'll say for the record, I don't think he's interested in Rutgers. I know some other people, some of our fans would hope that he would be interested in Rutgers. But, Joe said –
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're killing a lot of good message board threads by saying there's not much to it.
Well, I mean – we're in the truth business whenever we can be, but Joe again talked about staying the course, talked about building a program here. He says, in order to get what you've never had, you got to do what you've never done. And he made mention about the locker room kind of sticking together. We spoke with players in post game. They've got their coaches back. They have each other's back. And that's one of the things I think when you look at this thing now. There's a lot of peripheral noise, Dave. There always is when you're losing, and a lot of that's justified, and Joe affirms that. Joe says, you know what, some of that is justified. But when we get to the crux of this thing, David, there's still 5 games left in the season. Some of those are winnable ball games for Mississippi State, and it's time for people to come together and hopefully, behind Garrett Schrader, find a way to extend the bowl record streak to 10 games.
You speak of passion. Darrell Williams, I talked to him post-game as well. He showed some of that too, and finally I had to say, is this emotion you're seeing from your coach and yourself? I mean, this is manufactured? This is real? He said, oh, yes, this is real, and because they still want to play for a bowl, and they know that it's crazy the SEC is today. Look what happened to Vanderbilt, Missouri, that a decent bowl is still within grasp, but they have to correct so many things. Yes, LSU is an overmatch, and sooner or later they're going to break through and score points. Now, they were well below their season average, but they still scored points. Bulldogs, 2 touchdowns, only one that really mattered. But you saw them move the ball at times. Yes, the rushing game was largely shut down as far as Kylan Hill, but not for lack of trying this time. Garrett Schrader made some plays with his feet, made some plays with his arm, made some plays with just plain his head and guts. A shame being that a very dubious offensive interference call took away a play that might have been a momentum changer in the second quarter, but State, a lot of penalties today, a lot of mistakes of their own volition. And yet, as you said, there were some good things out there. Let's start with the defense, holding them to 3 field goals when easily it could have been 21-0 like the Auburn game.
There's no doubt, David, that the defense could have easily given up. And I think it's the defensive line's best game of the year. 3 sacks today, and a couple of them were just simply beating your guy. It wasn't anything schematic where you brought some exotic blitz. I mean, Chauncey Rivers played like the Chauncey Rivers we expected to have most of the year. He played like a man possessed today. I thought the young interior defensive tackles played exceptional. We get Nathan Pickering in postgame. And so Fabian Lovett, Jaden Crumberty, those guys have taken their lumps this year. But today, against a very, very talented team, they stood up against an offensive line that has had some guys out, to be fair. But this was a chance for the Bulldogs to fold, and they didn't.
Offensively, Garrett Schrader, again, reminded why he is the future. He made some mistakes twice. He did not see underneath coverage and had one ball intercepted, another one underthrown, and some situations where a freshman makes a mistake because he starts locking in a little early under pass pressure. That happens. He still made plays. The touchdown pass to Stephen Guidry, you could not ask for better than that. And let's give the receivers credit. I've been the one to criticize them too. And yes, there was a bad drop by Cyrus Mitchell that really kind of emotionally might have changed a few things around. But Dedrick Thomas made a heck of a catch at one point. Stephen Guidry, he made some catches. The tight ends were making catches today. If they make those catches last week, sure, the Bulldogs win. The point is they started making them today. Is that something you can carry on into the rest of the season?
You certainly hope so. And one of the things, and again, I don't know what they put on the TV broadcast, okay? But like you mentioned, somebody had a question on the message board about why can't we get separation. I thought we got better separation today than at any point all season. Like you mentioned Osiris Mitchell play, that throw is a little bit behind him. If Schrader hits him in stride, it's going to be an easy touchdown. That said, Osiris Mitchell's got to fight for that football. He's got to come back and elevate there and try to make a play there. We were open today. Stephen Guidry, one of his better games as a Bulldog today, and
6 catches and 98 yards and a touchdown. Yes, against his home state team. I know he's motivated, but we've waited for that game for a year and a half from him.
Dedrick Thomas, again, a go-to guy and becoming a favorite target of Garrett Schrader. Isaiah Zuber, his best game as a Bulldog. So I thought the receivers, by and large, today played exceptionally well, give or take 1 or 2 plays. And I know it's one of those things, too, when you're losing, everything is magnified. There's not enough ice in the drinks. The popcorn's too salty. I get it. I understand it. Not going to sit here and try to make light of the fact that Mississippi State got beat pretty handily today. But I think this is one of those things you're looking for signs to make you think, okay, can we have a November run? And I think today was a positive step in that direction. I think this team behind Garrett Schrader can find that late season magic. Today, like you said, David, we were overmatched today, but I really felt like Garrett Schrader didn't accept that. And I thought the young corners, we found out Maury Smitherman is now out for the year, has a knee injury and a non-contact drill in practice. So now your young corners, Martin Emerson and Jerry Jones, got to play a lot more. But today I thought they played exceptionally well against one of the most prolific offenses in the country.
C.J. Morgan, game of his career in the first half. He broke up 2 end zone passes, too, which should have been called for touchdowns, and he just busted them up right there at the end. He took a hit there in the second quarter and probably should not have come back as soon as he did and had some struggles after that. But you have to give credit to a guy who played all guts out. Disappointing day for Brian Cole. He got beat on that big touchdown down the slot situation and some other things that happened. But, again, the defense fought. They didn't just fold up and give up as the game went on, even as they were getting worn down by a great LSU defense. One stat that jumps out to me, they held LSU to 86 rushing yards. Now, think about it. With as much as LSU throws the ball, you've got to think State's cheating towards the pass, and yet the young defensive line and linebackers, they made their tackles more often than not, which is something we've not seen, obviously, in much of this season. So the defense took a step forward, to my mind, I think. They searched things schematically. I noticed a couple of sets. They went empty linebacker on third downs and stacked the line, something offenses have not seen yet. So Bob Shoop showed a few wrinkles with what players he has to work with. We always have to keep that in mind. Offensively, boy, a lot more motion plays with Colin Hill, a lot of trick plays, the flea flicker, which kind of got blown up by LSU and still should have produced a big gain, if not for that dubious play call. A pass interference not called when Colin Hill gets downfield to make a catch. Some other things happen. You like some of the flashes you saw, but again, they were flashes in a loss. Now we ask the question, can the Bulldogs carry that over into an A&M game, which right now the Aggies are not looking like exactly a superpower themselves?
It's true, David. Another point that I wanted to make, again, if you're not on the sidelines, you wouldn't know this. There's a lot of discussion last week about some of our former players making some criticism to the team on social media. Let me say this, they have earned the right to do that. If you've worn the uniform and you've bled and sweated and cried for Mississippi State as a football player, you have absolutely earned the right to do that. Not going to say that that's wrong. Today we had more former players on the field today than I've seen all year. Tevez Calhoun down there, who was very positive about the Bulldogs on social media, talking about, hey, you know what? A lot of times when your own fan base counts you out, that's when you stand up the tallest. Josh Robinson out here, always a fan favorite. Chris Rayford out here, working now towards the CFL future there. Corey Thomas was here. Several former players. Jonathan Abram back again. John was with us in Knoxville last week, out here again. And so there are these rumors about disconnect. And so when your quarterback stands up and says, oh, no, our locker room is tight. When Darrell Williams, your offensive captain, says, oh, no, we're coming together, we're more passionate, we're more locked in than we have been. Nathan Pickering, your freshman, said, hey, it was a great week. We came out ready to go. We have each other's backs. And then you see other former players come out here to support this current team. It makes me wonder that some of this disconnect that people are going is really more about in their own heads rather than in reality.
Well, losing magnifies all thoughts, as does winning sometimes. And right now the Bulldogs have lost 3 straight SEC games. But, we saw flashes today. The key will be, can they carry it forward in Texas A&M, whether they win or not in College Station, which is a tough task because it's a road game. State has won there before, but it's not easy, especially this team right now. You do that and you start thinking you can finish strong enough in November, the 3 beatable games left, none of them are given except, possibly Abilene Christian there. But still, you've got enough shown that you can still win a bowl eligibility, keep that streak going. And as I talked about with other administrators on the sideline too, the way the SEC is shaping up this year, a 6-win team could actually get a pretty decent bowl bid, this team. So there's still a lot to play for. This is the week, Steve, that I know you and I will both be watching, talking to players, personnel. Can they carry this emotion, this attitude, this togetherness over, and this aggressiveness by the coach, the defense, the offense, into another week?
I think so, and I hope so, because I believe that Mississippi State will see Texas A&M much like Tennessee saw Mississippi State. This is a winnable game if we go out there and play clean, don't turn the football over, don't have all these pre-snap penalties. And they admitted that LSU kind of caused some problems with some of that today too. And you give the Tigers credit. They took advantage of some mistakes Mississippi State made. But, David, next week is a new week. But you're right. If you can bring the passion, the fervor, the intensity that you had today and play a little bit cleaner, I think you can go win that ball game.
So that's our wrap-up here from Davis-Wade Stadium, where Mississippi State falls to number 2 ranked LSU 39-13. Mike Nemeth already has our flash story up. We thank Robbie Falk and Paul Jones for their quick stories as well. Paul's working on a sidebar about the defense. Steve will have his photo gallery and this video up shortly, and I'll be working on the gamer. And then it's time to get ready for a trip to College Station. Oh, by the way, Coach Moorhead said it, but I want to say it as well. Thanks to the crowd for showing up. A good crowd turned out for this game despite the circumstances. They were energetic. They were loud. They participated even until the game was out of reach. It was a good showing by you fans. Come back in November and do it again. For our team from G Space 24/7, for Steve Robertson, this is David Murray.